You guys ever just have that gun? You know that one gun that you just love? You can't get enough of it. You just love the looks, you love the feel, you love how it shoots. You just have that one gun that, out of all the guns you could ever have, if you were forced to give them all up, there would always be one that you would keep. Well, for me, that was the Beretta 92, the 92 series of pistols. You know, maybe he was watching too many Die Hard movies as a kid, Lethal Weapon. The Beretta 92 M9 has always had a place in my heart. It's always been a dream gun of mine to own, until I actually found out that here in Canada, believe it or not, you can't own handguns. And as soon as I heard that, I set out on a mission to get my dream gun. My dream gun at the time was this bad boy right here. Now this specifically is a Beretta 92A1. Not necessarily my dream gun, but it was everything that I wanted out of a Beretta 92. So what I intend to do today is I intend to pit my original dream gun against the newest and latest and greatest Italian Stallion. Now, if you're wondering why I want to compare the two, simplest answer is because the Beretta M9 has always been, in the 92 series, has always been my gun. This has always been my go-to gun. The gun that I've always loved, the gun that I've always wanted. What Beretta did with the M9A3 is take everything I loved about this and everything I hated about it and made it better. So I'm going to go over to the two today, just compare them, and show you the differences. So we'll start off with the tried and true. So this is the Beretta, this specific one is a Beretta 92A1. Now as you can see, she's seen some stuff. This gun's got some pretty solid wear and tear. It's got a little over 12,000 rounds through it. So, I mean, it's been around the block a couple of times. I've shot more rounds through this than most people will shoot out of any gun they own in a lifetime. I shoot a lot, so it's you know, this gun for a while, or for a very long time, was my workhorse. This is the gun that I did new member probations with. This is the gun that I used all the time. At times, I was using this gun 3 times a week. So it's just, this gun just was a workhorse for me. So I'm just going to compare it to the M9A3, which you see in the corner here. So, getting into it, the Beretta 92 A1 was kind of the step up from the original 92 FS. This gun specifically took a lot of the things people wanted from the 92 FS and made it. So I'm going to show you that now. So this specific model, just for the record, has an aftermarket grip on it. This is a Hogue grip. Basically what it does is it slightly increases the width of the grip. And it adds finger grooves, which I'm a big fan of. So basically I'm just going to kind of go back and forth between the two and just show you the differences. So up top, as we can see, this is an open slide design gun with somewhat controversial, but you can actually see right here, those are the locking lugs. So it actually has exposed locking lugs. That has been some controversy, but overall the Beretta 92 and the M9 have actually been very reliable pistols, even in deserts. So that just kind of goes to show you. So this specific model, like I said, open top design, standard 3-dot sighting system. They are not night sights, just 3-dot Beretta style sights. This specific model is what you call the Type F. So the Type F is a safety decocker model. So when let's say the gun is cocked, I've finished my string. What I can do is I can click the safety down. It will safely decock the pistol and put it on to safe. So it will safely drop the hammer. You do not need to worry about it going off, and it's going to disable the trigger. Now, Beretta also releases a package, and they actually do release certain pistols in what's called the Type G model. Now, the Type G specifically is a decocker only. So basically what would happen is when I turn the safety on, this would shoot back up automatically. And that's what you call a decocker only. That seems to be the preferred model. I personally don't mind the safety model. It's all personal preference. Just going to give you see if I can give you guys some close-ups of just some of the wear. The barrel is actually in excellent shape considering how many rounds it has through it. The finish held up really well. So, working our way down, or actually I'm going to kind of go back and forth here. So that's the slide portion of the 92A1. Aside from basic features, nothing too heavily upgraded on the A1 series, aside from the fact also that it has a dovetail front sight. So it has a dovetail front and rear sight. So if you want to change them out for night sights or any sort of aftermarket high-vis sights, you can do that. The M9A3 is the step up. This is basically a combination of what the US military wanted. The M9A3 was developed specifically for the US military contract. Or let me rephrase that, to substitute the M9 pistol. So what happened, I'm just going to touch on history here just for a sec. I know people don't like history, but I find this very interesting. So in 2012, the United States Armed Forces, the United States Army, placed an order for 100,000 brand new M9 pistols. 100,000. They completed that order in late 2015. So in late 2015, they had 100,000 brand new M9s in their inventory. In that time period, also, the United States Army solicited manufacturers for a new pistol. So now Beretta's kind of sitting here, completing the contract, mind you. This is before they fulfilled the order. Beretta's kind of sitting there like, hey, so you just ordered 100,000 new pistols, and now all of a sudden you want a new gun. So what they did was they looked at the requirements of the pistol, the modular handgun system pistol, and they looked and like, well, you know what? We can actually give you most of that in the M9. So what they did was Beretta's engineers went to work in creating the M9A3. The hope for Beretta was that the U.S. Army would actually complete the order. So at the time that Beretta submitted this, there was a little over, I think, 20,000 pistols shipped. Their hope was to replace the other 80,000 with the... now, these aren't exact figures, mind you. Their hope was to replace the remainder of the order with the M9A3. See about getting it in the hands of soldiers, officers, getting them to fall in love with it, and have them continue the purchase process with the M9A3 rather than the 92FS. So what Beretta did was they submitted an ECP. Now, an ECP stands for Engineering Change Proposal. So in order to do certain modifications to a pistol past the spec of the original purchase, because you got to remember, the 92FS pistols that are in U.S. inventory are from the 1980s. They're designed back in the 1980s. And obviously firearms technology has advanced quite a bit since then, so an ECP is a smart move. So they gave the military essentially what they wanted. They gave them an FDE gun that had some modular features to it with the original M9s. They took all the feedback of things that they didn't like about the Beretta 92 and changed them. One of the most notable of which was the grip and the safety. So we're going to stay on the slide here. So the M9A3, get the camera to focus, comes factory standard with a threaded barrel. So if you want to add suppressors, muzzle brakes, things like that, you can. I'm going to continue our way down. What Beretta did, actually, with the safety, I think this is great, by the way. Some people disagree with me, but I think this is a really great feature. They angled the safety 15 degrees up. So as you can see, it looks crooked. It looks like it's supposed to be kind of right there. But you can see it's actually angled upwards. So when you do overhand slide manipulations, when you're doing it and you're racking the slide, you actually are pulling up on the safety rather than pushing down. So you don't have that issue where you accidentally rack the safety on and you disable the pistol. You don't want to do that. So that's, again, Beretta listening to its customers and its contracts, which is a smart move on their part. Sight-wise, the gun has 3-dot night sights, again. In my opinion, all pistols should ship with night sights. You should never just have standard 3-dot sights. They should always be night sights. That's just my opinion, mind you. And obviously the most notable thing is the color. So it's got kind of like an FN Scar, Kyle. My name's Kyle. An FN Scar style color scheme. So you've got like an FDE slide, a coyote tan barrel, and it almost looks like a burnt bronze or like a light bronze finish on the frame. And it just looks good. If you ask me personally, I think the FDE looks good. Now, Beretta has released this in black as well. So for those of you who do not like the color of baby poop, you can now get it in black. Continuing our way down the pistols, I'm gonna do Fieldstrip last, but with the A1 series, they kept the underside Picatinny rail, same as the M9A3, or this is the A1, sorry, the M9A3. They kept the underside Picatinny rail. Everybody really liked that. The A1 kept a rounded trigger guard, whereas the A3 went to a squared off, but with a notch to it. So I'm guessing that's for shooters who shoot with their finger wrapped around the front of the trigger guard. I don't shoot like that. Some people do. I mean, it's whatever works for you, right? Continuing our way, so the one of the noticeable differences, as soon as you pick the pistols up, you're going to feel it, is the grip. So the grip, the A1 92FS, the 92FS is almost identical to the A1, minus very minor, like, cosmetic things, you could say. It's pretty much the same pistol. Has a very strong hump and an exaggerated S-curve right at the beaver tail. Very comfortable pistol, even with this big grip. Like, I have fairly small hands. I'm not going to lie to you. I do not have man hands. But when I grab a pistol like this, it may look a little big, but it's actually very comfortable in my hand to hold and to shoot, which is why I've held onto this pistol for so long. It just feels really good. Now, the standard capacity for the 92FS M9A1 is 15 rounds. That was the standard when the pistol was released. Now, since then, Beretta and their fantastic team of engineers released the A3 and the A3 magazines, and they hold 17 rounds. So if you ask me, that's pretty impressive that they're able to jam 2 additional rounds with barely adding anything to the base plate into a standard 92 FS magazine. Now, obviously, as you can see, these only hold 10 because I live in Canada. Actually, I might as well leave those out. Now, with the A3, the grip is substantially different. It's textured on the front and the back where it has actual, like, checkering to it. And it uses the Vertex style grip. Beretta actually went back to this because the Vertex style grip is actually a fairly old grip. It has been around for a very long time. But it mimics a 1911 style angle of grip when you grab onto it. They still maintain their slight S-curve right at the beaver tail, but the actual grip itself is straight. It's damn near straight. There's no actual curvature to the grip to have ergonomics, so to speak. But this pistol, as soon as I picked it up, I couldn't believe that this was a double stack 17 round, well, potentially 17 round gun. For my brothers and sisters to the south, I envy you across the border there. But that's that. So if we look, actually, I'm gonna show you the grip sizes here between the two pistols. So you can see the A1 has a substantially larger grip. Now remember, this does have a whole grip on it, so it does increase the width slightly. And you can see the texturing, whereas the A1 on the right just has these lines. The A3 has texturing. But that's that. Now, magazine interchangeability is another question. This was one of the things that Beretta really wanted for the United States military. Because the A3 is compatible with almost 80% of the parts of the 92FS and A1 series. Recoil springs, barrels, all the trigger parts, not the grips, obviously, because this uses a different style grip, but just all kinds of aftermarket parts that the military would have a stockpile of, so that way they're just not wasting it all. And, of course, the magazines. So you have a standard, this is just a standard 92 magazine. Fits, locks in just fine, and it functions just fine. I've put 750 rounds through this pistol. It's still very new. I only got this about last week, actually. I got this last week, and I've already put 750 rounds through it. So that kind of shows you how much I shoot. But the gun itself functions flawless with the old magazines. I have had zero malfunctions with this. I should actually mention that now. The M9A3, I've heard has a pretty notorious break-in period. It has a minor break-in period. I have had nothing. This gun has been flawless right out of the box for all 750 rounds that I have put through it. Now, personally, I expected some sort of a break-in. I expected something. You know, failure to feeds, even a stovepipe here or there, especially with the Cerakote finish, because the finish is on the inside and the out. I thought the gun was going to have to wear it down a bit to become a reliable firearm, but it's been 100%. The magazines, the new M9A3 magazines, were stiff as all hell, and they were flawless. The gun works flawless. My 92A1, when I first bought it, I had 6 malfunctions in the first 200 rounds. All of which were failure to feeds. After about 200 rounds, the gun's been flawless ever since. I've had a total of about, excluding the 6 malfunctions from the break-in period, which I call, I've had about 3 malfunctions with this, 2 of which were stovepipes and 1 of which was a failure to feed. So 11,000 rounds, 3 malfunctions. I do personally have a grace period for the break-in. That's completely up to you, but I do. But I mean, if you ask me, that's pretty impressive. Now, I don't know what caused the malfunctions. I don't know why they did it. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes guns just malfunction. I've owned numerous Glocks. They've all malfunctioned. I've owned SIGs. They've all malfunctioned. I've seen pretty much every type of gun malfunction at some point or another when you put enough rounds through them. That's just the way it is. But this bad boy has seen some shit. Now, let's get into the Fieldstrip, because this is going to be actually very interesting. The A1 series of pistol, it's actually quite old. The M9, or the 92A1, the M9A1, has actually been on the market for quite some time. Like, these are not new pistols compared to the A3 here, which has only been on the market for, I'm not going to say a short period of time, but has not been in the civilian hands for very long. So this pistol, I'm going to Fieldstrip this one first. To Fieldstrip, obviously you're making sure the gun's unloaded. To take it down, you can either have the slide lock back, or you can have the slide forward. It's really whatever you want. I personally will lock the slide back on the A3 just because it just takes the pressure off the slide, and you can just rotate this down a little bit easier. So that'll rotate down, it'll lock down. You'll release the slide slowly, and it just slides right off. I'm going to give you a close-up of the internals as well, by the way, before I put them back together. So don't worry, you're going to see the type of wear that the finish has. Your recoil spring and guide rod, just like any other standard 92 M9. Non-captured. And then we'll lift out, that's rolling away. We'll lift out the barrel. This is really difficult to do around a camera. So there's your barrel. So I personally asked this question as well, is can you take the gun apart, the barrel out, without unscrewing the thread protector? Yes, obviously, yes, you can. So that's Fieldstrip for the M9A3. I'm going to set it off to the side here. I'm going to Fieldstrip the A1, because you're going to see 2 things that actually kind of threw me off. So Fieldstrip, you actually don't lock back the A1, and you don't slightly, you'll see people sometimes look like this and cock it like a Glock. You don't have to do that. You simply just push the button in, rotate it down, and it's going to fall apart. That's it. That's all you got to do. Now here's where it gets interesting. Watch this. Huh, captured guide rod. Whereas the brand new gun does not have a captured guide rod. I thought that was very interesting, and honestly, it's quite strange to me that one has a captured guide rod, the other one doesn't. Why they did that, I'm not really sure, but I mean, it's kind of one of those whatever works for you. And then Fieldstrip, obviously, like any other Beretta, it's the exact same. You just take it apart, and boom, you're done. That's it. That's Fieldstrip. They're very simple guns to take care of if you know what you're doing. Like it's not that difficult. I'm just gonna give you some close-ups actually. The A1 has a Generation 2 locking block. The A3 has a Generation 3 locking block. Now, that probably means absolutely nothing to you, but the A3 locking block lasts substantially longer than the A1. The A1 and the 92FS. So now for civilian shooters, that's usually not that big of a deal, but for the military, parts that last longer are a good thing, as well as law enforcement. Okay, now this is part 2 of the, actually, I'm going to show you all the frames part. So you see that little blue part in there? I'll show you the wear while I'm at it. All right, so that little blue part, that is an internal frame buffer. So they originally designed that for when the 96A1 was released. It was put in there to help withstand the recoil and power of the 40 caliber round. Because as we all know, the 40 cal is an HPR, or a high pressure round. It's got some punch. So, but of course, it beats up on the guns a lot harder. So they inserted that frame buffer, which just helps mitigate the recoil, as well as it increases the life of the system. Now, they chose to leave that in the 9mm model as well, because they discovered that that buffer actually increased the life of a 9mm frame. So why the hell not, right? Anywho, let's back to reassembly. So when we get this bad boy reassembled, I want to show you something. So just watch. Watch the takedown lever. See how it shot back? It locked back on its own? That is an awesome feature. I think that it's so simple, but it's so awesome, and I think that's a great feature. So I'm going to show you just the wear on the... so again, this is only 750 rounds. It's not a lot of rounds. Focus. Yeah, this camera's a piece of shit. There we go. Not a lot of rounds. 750 is nothing. Slide, you're going to see some wear. This is where you're going to see some wear. I just cleaned this before I made this video, so anything that you were seeing, the dark spots, is bare metal. So you can actually... There you go. There's some good solid wear right there. You see all that? That's the Cerakote chipping away. Now, I expected this. You should expect to see wear, especially on a Cerakote firearm. The finish does not last that long, especially on moving parts. You see a little bit of holster wear, not much yet. You will give it about another 6 months. You're going to see some substantial holster wear on this gun. Okay, I've got the frame. See something familiar in there? See that frame buffer? It was simply anodized when they did the frame, so the color isn't blue, but the buffer is there. See the wear on the rails. A couple of burn marks. The hammer. So that's the internal of the gun. So let's put the A3 back together here. Now, the thing I don't like about non-captured recoil springs and guide rods is if you don't put them in properly and you don't notice it, it's going to go flying across the room. Okay, watch the like I said on the A1, watch the takedown lever. See how it doesn't shoot back? I don't know why they didn't add that feature onto the from the A1 onto the A3. I don't know why they didn't do that. That's such a simple, or you'd think that's such a simple thing that they would just do it, but again, I'm not a manufacturer, so maybe there was reasons for it. Shooting them, I mean, it's a Beretta. They work really well. They're very smooth, and the triggers are good. I don't have a trigger scale, so me pulling the triggers on camera is kind of pointless, but I'll do it anyways just to show you. So, double action. The double action is noticeably lighter. They do have the D spring in this, so you're getting about an 8-pound pull. Cock it. Reset. Grab the A1. Ugh! That trigger is, that double action trigger is disgusting. Okay. I'm not sure if they did any modifications to the trigger. It's definitely possible, but the reset and the single action feels better than on the A1 series and the FS series. Again, not sure if they actually did anything, but I'm just passing it along. So the next thing you're probably, or I guess kind of closing thoughts here, is should you buy one over the other? Well, that comes down to personal preference and your financial situation, because I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to be 100% real with you. Here in Canada, I bought this gun 6 years ago for just over $900. It's like let's say $923 if you count taxes and everything. A fairly expensive gun. This bad boy right here was $1,500. So the question is this worth the extra $600 compared to this? That's all a matter of opinion. That's going to be something that you have to decide for yourself. Now, for me personally, as you can clearly see, it obviously was because I bought the gun. That's just reality. Now, I am a Beretta fanboy. I'm a loyalist, and I'm going to admit it right straight to you right now. The thing you got to understand with a pistol like this is you are getting features. I mean, the anodizing, the Cerakote, that costs extra money. the night sights, the extra grip module you get, the case, the extra magazine. There's a lot of things you are getting with this pistol that obviously are going to cost more to produce, therefore they have to mark it up higher. Excuse me. But that's just what you have to contend with. So for your average shooter, if you're like going back and forth between the two pistols, should you buy this over this? I'm going to say no. There's just not really, unless the grip is a massive selling feature for you, there's not really any reason to buy the A3 at a rather noticeably larger price. I mean, $600, depending on who you buy from, that's a lot of money. Like that's a lot of extra money to be forking up. So that's just something you want to consider when looking at pistols like these, as well as shooting. But the simplest truth is if you're looking at spending this kind of money on a pistol, my recommendation is you really got to look at seeing if you can get your hands on one first. Handle it, see how it feels. If you like how it feels, it'd be even better if you get the opportunity to shoot it. Find somebody who owns it and actually shoot one. That's going to be the real teller of getting one of these pistols. Because again, they're not cheap. But that being said, now, please note, I'm not sponsored. I'm not being paid to say this, but I do want to thank SFRC, or the AmmoSource.com. The owner at that gun store, Ryan, when I was in there looking at this pistol, because I spend a lot of money there. I'm going to be realistic. I get my paycheck. It's like, hey, Ryan, I got my paycheck. Ryan, when he saw that I was looking at this pistol, he's like, you know what, Kyle? He's like, if you want this pistol, he's like, I'll tell you what, if you take it right now, I'll knock 10% off just for you. So, I mean, like, just for being a loyal customer, he knocked $150 off the gun for me. So, I mean, that really shows something to the testament of customer loyalty. But, again, it's still 14, I have the receipt somewhere. I think it was like $1,423 when I walked out the door with this gun. So, I mean, that's not cheap. But in my eyes, it was worth it because, again, I'm a Beretta person. And to be truthful, I was looking for a replacement for this bad boy. Now, I'll never sell this gun. I'll never get rid of this gun because this is my first handgun. This is the first handgun I ever bought. But the truth is the gun's getting tired. Like the recoil, like I've replaced the recoil spring twice now. But some of the other parts are starting to show some substantial wear, and I'm going to have to start putting money into it at some point or another. I am curious because I am going to keep shooting it. I want to see how far she's going to go before it finally croaks. But I'm looking for a new workhorse. My PX4 Storm has been kind of holding the line for me the last little while, but when I saw that these were released in Canada, I saw that you could get them. I had to have it. I had to have it. So this M9A3 is going to be the workhorse of my double action, single action pistols, and it's going to be that for quite some time because I'm going to put this gun through its paces. Like I said, I've got 750 rounds through it in a week. So this gun is going to work, and it's going to work hard. And I'm gonna keep you guys up to date on this gun. And I'm going to do comparisons in the future compared to a couple other pistols with this. So stay tuned for that if you want. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling here. I do apologize for that because this is a long ass video as is. Needless to say, is this worth it over this? In my opinion, yes. In reality, no. It's up to you as a consumer to choose and decide whether or not this is the pistol for you. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see y'all next time.